Hey peeps! So it's spring, I've had a lot of new additions and I figured, well, I promised it, so here it is. It's houseplant tour time. So I'm going to show you everything that I have in one video, except for the orchids, which I'm just going to kind of brush over because I've just done a complete orchid tour. But I figured it would be fun to show you all my other different type of houseplants and all my new additions in their new place. So without further ado, let's get this started. Okay, so I think we're going to start over here because why not? So here we have my normal unvariegated Sansevieria cutting. You can see in here, sorry it's a bit shadowy, you can see in here that it's just one piece and it's starting to grow a new leaf in the middle there. So he's not really doing much, but he's growing, so I'm looking forward to seeing him fill out. And digging the pot, not too keen on the colour, but it's cool. I can live with it, and it sort of goes with the colour scheme that I've got up here. So this guy here is quite a recent addition, well, one of my most recent additions. And I was in the Lidl and well, I couldn't resist. I mean, look at this, look how cute. And it has two pups in there, so I think this is the Starfish Sansevieria, and it came with this really cute, unique pot, which is kind of like a glass jar with a hole in it. No drainage at the bottom. It's got this fabric cover that says, "Life is like a camera. Focus on what's important, capture the good times, develop from the negatives, and if things don't work out, take another shot." So cheesy, but inspirational, and I liked it. So, you know, sometimes you need a little bit of cheese in your life. So those are my two Sansevierias. Now over here in another pot, like a little starfish guy, I've got another glass pot thing that another plant came in, but I put my white Fittonia in here instead because it kind of goes with like two Fittonias, two Sansevierias. So these two are, this one's a recent addition, this one is also a new addition, so I kind of got the Fittonia bug. I saw one at work, which was the pink one, and I was just completely captivated by them, and I just had to own some Fittonias. So I have two pink varieties downstairs in the cutting version that I've showed on my last houseplant haul. One cutting is from this, which was kind of like leafless and it was just stalks, and it had some roots, so I kind of put it in another pot, which I'll show you in a bit. So those are my Fittonias, and this pot says, "Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, it's about learning to dance in the rain." Oh, more cheese. I like cheese. Do you like cheese? I like cheese. So yeah, those are my Fittonias. Now over here in the same room is my little Dracaena marginata, which I put in a slightly bigger pot than it came in, well, then it's nursery pot, and it's a terracotta one. So he's really happy in here. He's doing well, and as you can see, he's also done quite a lot of growing. Well, a little bit of growing anyway. He's a lot bushier and more, you know, his leaves come down a little bit more than just sticking directly up, as they were when I first got him. And that's another little find. Look at this, isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. Look at that. I love salt lamps. Ah, so cute. But yeah, anyway. And here's my spider plant, which I also upped the pot size a little bit because he was completely root bound in that little tiny nursery pot he came in. So he's adjusting well and looking nice, and I hope he gets a bit bigger and bushier. So There you go. And here is my other Sansevieria, which is the cylindrica. Now, if you remember in my last houseplant tour, which I'll have to link below, he was I think he was 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 leaves. So he's grown a little bit and kind of stopped growing, but he seems to be doing okay. He's just very, very, very slow. But yeah, there you go. So that's those 3 plants here. Now on my windowsill, sorry the light is terrible, is my funky pot. And this guy here, not quite sure what he's called, but there you go, if I get in close, there you go, he's not so shadowed. Really not quite sure what this guy is, but I love him. And he's sat in my funky psychedelic pot there. And here are my 2 tiny pots of the Trandoscandia, or the Wandering Jew. So what I've been doing with this plant, because you can see he looks quite fresh and, well, with the cuttings and the regrowth and stuff. So what's going on here is that I had that large pot and it was getting a bit too big for the space I had. So when it gets too big, I kind of separate, give it away or sell or whatever is available at the time to do. And then I just take some cuttings so I still have the plant, and I keep it in these 2 mini pots here. So I'll have to do a video when it's time to trim these guys back and show you just how fast and crazy these guys can grow. Because I did try to show you before, but yeah, it was 2 separate videos and it really wasn't a good example, but yeah, I'll work on that. Now over here is my variegated, or as I call it, my watermelon jade. I can't remember the official botanical name, but I loves it. And he's really starting to put on some lovely growth. You can see here with more variegation here and a lot more variation in the leaf colour, which I absolutely am loving to look at. And lots of new sprouts coming through here, so he's been happy. And this is a west facing window, so they kind of get the afternoon sun which comes off across that street there, but yeah, they get a little bit of the afternoon sun from about 5 o'clock onwards, so, and they seem happy here. So if things change and the sun gets a bit too intense in the summer, then I might have to move these guys. But for the most part, they seem happy here. So swinging round to my little, sorry, try and put something back. Swinging around to my little cupboard here, I have my variegated Monstera cutting, which is still not doing much, but I think he's rooting at the moment because he's been in here for about I would say about 2 months, and he's not dying and he's still green and firm, so I'm guessing he's busy working on the roots underneath the soil there before we start seeing any action. And here are my Ripsalis cuttings, which have done quite a bit of growing. Still quite tiny, but they've done a lot of growing considering they were shriveled, almost rootless cuttings when they started. So I'm happy with the progress here, and I can't wait for them to get bigger. And of course, last but not least, in its funky Zentangle pot, I think I'll call that, is my variegated Sansevieria. I forget the official name of this one, but the one with the yellow stripe. So that covers it for my living room plants. So in this little hook here, we have an east facing window. So that gets the morning sun and a little bit of the afternoon sun. And here I've got my Christmas cactus, which is absolutely thriving here. my Crassula obliqua, which is starting to wake up and finally put off some more growth for this year, but it's grown very slowly. I would say it's grown where my finger is, that much, since I've had it. So this one is just an incredibly slow grower, but at some point I'm gonna actually take him out of the pot and have a look to see how his roots are doing, because when I put him into this pot here, because he was in a glazed pot before and he didn't seem to like it that much, he had some roots, but they were very meagre, so I'm intrigued to see if this has helped them grow a bit better. So down here I have my rootless aloes. I'm not quite sure on the type, so if anyone has an ID for this guy, that would also be appreciated. So they still haven't sprouted their roots yet, as you can see. I'm not going to pull the other one out, but I'm not quite sure if they're going to survive or not. I'm hoping, but I'm not going to hold my breath for these guys. So over here is one of the aloe pups that I separated, and I'll link the video when I've done the separation below, because I've got a couple of them. So he's doing well. No sign of pups of his own yet, but he seems to have grown like 2, 4. He's grown his 6th leaf in there, so he's done okay here. He looks healthy. He's growing, so no complaints. Now this guy here, he's also a new addition. I think he's a Dracaena, but the variegated type. Again, I'm not quite sure on the name of this one, but he was a supermarket find. So again, ID my peeps. If you know, please leave it in the comments below. And I would be very grateful to find out what type of Dracaena. I'm pretty sure this is a Dracaena. This one is, or if it is actually I'm pretty sure it's a Dracaena. And here is one of my aloes. So this was one of the early succulents that I bought when I was propagating my jade plants and starting to redeem myself a little bit for neglecting them. And I went out and bought this guy and 2 what are they called, Graptivarias, which I don't have anymore, but I do have this guy, and as you can see, he looks very bushy and full. And if I remember when I post this video, I will actually put the link for this one, for the video where I got this one, below. If I do forget and you do want to see, just give me a poke and say, hey, you forgot to link it, because sometimes I do that, but hopefully I don't forget, because I'm saying this and I'm going to hear it in editing, so future Lou, don't forget the links. So that's my aloe, and again, I don't know what kind of aloe he is. I know he's pretty, but not quite sure what he is, so ID please, pretty please. So moving up to the windowsill, I have my other Monstera variegata cutting. Again, not doing anything. Been here for about the same amount of time as my other one in the living room. So for about 2 months. He's not dead, but hopefully he's working on some roots there, and I hope to see some action with these guys soon. And when I do, I will have to make a video, because I'm pretty sure you Monstera lovers out there would love to see that. So here I have a cutting, well, a pup, not a cutting, of some kind of Haworthia, but I'm not quite sure on the type again, and he's looking in a pretty sorry state at the moment, and that's not my fault. I was actually planning on making another video on this guy, and I got some footage of the pot he came from, so I really should work on that. So he's recovering, he's doing well. You can see that lighter green stuff in the middle there, his spines. That's the new growth, and they're starting to look a bit more plumper. And here, he just doesn't look good, because he's barely seen any water or care. So this guy has seen better days, but he's bouncing back slowly, so I will have to make a recovery video on this one as time progresses. Now this one here is a cutting of the watermelon jade, and it's something that I done a couple of months back, and there's also some ripsalis in there. I think, yeah, hang on, I think, yeah, it's starting to sprout already. Cool. So I thought it'd be fun to put a little cutting of the jade and some ripsalis in there and see what would happen, because I think that would make a cool little display pot type thing, especially if this starts spilling over the side and this gets a bit bushier. So we'll see what happens with that. And my little ponytail palm, and I thought I'd move him here to the east facing window because I have my large one downstairs in the larger east facing window, but this one's higher so it gets better sun. So I decided to put this one here, my large one by the window downstairs, which I'll show you in a little bit when I get down there. And one is in bright indirect light on the table downstairs, so I'm intrigued to see what the different conditions will do to these guys, so we'll see how they grow. They're still fairly new for me, so I'm learning, but so far so good. And here is my Haworthia. Now this guy has really grown insanely and gone pup crazy since you've last seen him. And again, another video that I should remember to link below, but he was in my stone pot planter video, which I've jiggled about so much since I've made that video, which you'll see when we get downstairs. It's almost unrecognisable now, but this guy, I have to put him down here so you can see properly. He's got like 11 different pups on him, just all growing around. So I don't want to separate them. I just think it'll kind of be cool to keep them together and let them grow as a clump as they would in nature, and just up the pot size and just see how that looks. But so far I'm loving how that looks in his pot there, and he's doing so well. I am really happy that I was gifted this. I must admit, I'm really digging the Haworthias. It's Kinku. Hey, how are you doing? I'm a YouTube doggy. That's a good boy. Okay, so round to my other east-facing window. Here I have my Crassula Golem, and he's also doing really well and waking up, and you can see lots of new growths, leaves, ears, fingers, whatever you want to call them, starting to come out, and he's really doing well. See, I don't know why people say that the Golem Jade grows slower than the traditional jade. I think it's just because it grows differently, and it's a little bit, well, it's not as obvious, but it is obvious. But in the, yeah, I think I've had, yeah, in just over a year since I've had this guy, or is it longer? I need to check the video dates, but in the time I've had him, he's doubled in size and he just looks fantastic. I'm loving the way he grows. And I'm still kind of in two minds whether or not to get a bonsai pot for him or to grow him big. What do you guys think? And that's my super cute solar powered light. Another little find. I love the little, especially in the spring. Oh my god, it is a dangerous shop to go to, and their plants are amazing. I'm not being sponsored by Lidl anyway. By the way, I'm just yeah, I buy a lot of awesome things from there. So back onto the plants. Here's my other jade plant, the twins from the cutting I started in my jade plant propagation video. And you can see here he's going nanas and really branching beautifully, looking so bushy and getting so thick, and even starting to get that woody texture on his stalks, so that's cool. And here's another aloe pup that I got from Hannah in that I got with that other aloe vera as well that I showed you in there. And this guy is growing nanas as well, and I've noticed that, hang on, can't quite see it properly, but here where my finger is, that's one pup, and I've got to find the other one because he actually has two pups, but I've got to yeah, there he is. And tucked in between the leaves there, which you can barely see because it's dark, but right there where my finger is, there is a second pup. So when they grow a bit more, I'll have to show you, but this guy has gotten huge. It's the Aloe Aristata, and I see why they're popular because they are so beautiful and they are so easy, and they're baby machines, so they are literally the gift that keeps on giving. So thanks, Hannah. My other jade or Crassula ovata cutting, which is also doing well, the same age as the twins there, but if you follow my video you'll know what's going on with this guy. But he's also doing well and branching beautifully. I'm very happy with the progress with these guys. And this is the little Golem Jade cutting that I took when I got the big Golem Jade cutting. And again, he's doing well and starting to look very cool as a bonsai. And again, I'm not quite sure which one to bonsai, if I should bonsai that big one or let that grow, or bonsai this one and let this one grow. Again, give me your opinion. I'm intrigued to know what you think. Help me break my indecisiveness, peeps. I need your help. And this is another cutting from my watermelon jade, and again he's growing some lovely new leaves with some very cool variegation. I mean, this one, it's just got that one stripe there, and I've got some really pale ones with more colour definition. If I turn it around here so you can see better, and this one here with just kind of like that stripe, it's that pure yellow one there, and I love this one. I love this one. It's probably one of my favourites next to the Oblique. I mean, the Oblique is gorgeous, but it's a bit of a pain in the arse. But this one, if you want a variegated jade and you're not having very good luck with the Oblique, I would recommend getting yourself one of these, because it's still variegated, but it's nowhere near as fussy and slow growing or annoying. But maybe that's just me. Do you guys have problems with the Crassula Oblique? I don't know. And in case you're wondering or forgot, this is the Oblique, the one that grows very slowly and seems to be a little bit more fussy than the normal one. Okay, so downstairs by my very big window here, you can see this is the place where I've put my large ponytail palm. Excuse my recycling bag over there. Very unsightly, but it's got a beautiful quartz crystal in there that I bought for it. It's in its terracotta pot, but it seems to be a lot more happier here now it's getting light than it was in the living room, because it was getting a hell of a lot of these brown tips here. I mean, so much of them, and I was cutting them off and cutting them off. But I was noticed, yeah, if I have to keep cutting them off, I'm going to end up with no leaves. So I moved them down here because I thought it was maybe a humidity problem. Because I was spraying him every couple of days, but it just, yeah, he was browning at an alarming rate. And I was watering him okay. I was waiting a couple of days when the soil dried out and then giving him more water. But the brown tips just kept happening. So since I've moved him down here, he has a little bit more brown tips, but it doesn't seem to be going as crazy as it was upstairs in the living room. So if you guys have any care tips for these guys, because like I said, I'm still quite new with the ponytail palm. So care tips, watering tips, any tips against getting so many brown tips would be much appreciated, peeps. So over here I've got my lemon tree, which I grew from seed, and he's lost a few leaves, but he's starting to branch here, and there's a few very small, I'm sorry the camera's not focusing, where the other old leaves were, there are some signs of new growth, so it's starting to branch out a little bit. And he's still growing from the top, but this guy seems to be doing okay. I haven't quite moved him outside for the spring yet because it's still a little bit cold here in Belgium. But he seems to be doing fine by this window. Yeah, I can't wait to see him have a growth spurt because this is almost a year, I think, a year of growth. And yeah, they weren't kidding when they say lemon trees take a long while to grow from seed. So yeah, because he still looks like a sprout. So here's my stone pot planter, and he's changed a little bit, except for the Portula Afra variegata. God, that's a mouthful. The elephant bush. So this is the cut-in that I took from the first lot of Portula Afra, or elephant bush, and it's the only piece I've actually managed to keep alive. I just don't get it. I've tried and tried. I've had 2 of these plants die on me now. The first set of curtains that I had, and then another pot that I bought from Amazon, and that just did the same thing, and all the leaves dropped, and it just shriveled up, and nothing that I did helped it. And I was giving it the standard succulent care, the same way I kind of treat my jade plants, watering it about twice a month, and only when the soil has been dry for a few days, then giving it a good dose of water. Nope, it just did not respond to me. But this guy has grown, and he's still alive, and I'm happy about that. I just hope he doesn't die. I mean, he's lost some leaves, but he's starting to branch out. I mean, he's branched out here and at the back here, and then there's another branch coming out at the bottom, and there's another 2 starting along the spike here, but they're still the little red dots, so the camera's not picking them up yet. But he's starting to branch out and bush. So grow, baby, grow. And in here I've just got some little sedums. He's got a bit of dirt on him from where I watered him. Another sedum. I've just kind of decided to put some sedums around, and this ripsalis. So sort of low growing bushy cover plants, because I wanted to just give the spotlight to this guy, because I daren't move him at this point because he's the only one I've kept to survive. They seem to be doing the best in this pot. So I've removed everything from this pot and put some ground covering sedums and ripsalis in there, so they'll grow pretty low, except for this guy, which I'll have to probably keep trimmed or hope he trails over. But this guy will get to grow in the middle, he'll get all the space, and this stone pot planter will become kind of like a bonsai pot for it. So that's what's going on with this stone pot planter, and this is pretty much how it's going to be for a very long time now, mainly because of this guy here. And over here I have another type of Haworthia, which is rooting and doing well, and he seems happy. Not really much to say there, except for I guess I'll update you when he grows a bit more. And swinging around to here is the avocado tree, which doesn't look much different from the last update I did, but he's growing. So we'll keep you posted on that guy. And here is the aloe vera. It did have more pups, but I've plucked them out and given them away, and I've kept these 2 because I wanted to kind of keep this one as the main feature and give this one a bit of a head start to grow before more pups come in. And I've kept this one because I didn't want to just have one. So now this guy is grown big and the growing season is in, I'm just going to let him pup out and fill the pot out. So I'll let you know how this one goes. But in regards to my aloe vera recovery, this guy has recovered. And my orchids, but I've just done an orchid tour, so I'm just going to give a quick skim over of those. And if you want to see a bit more details about my orchids, you can find the video. It's one of the recent ones I've done, but I'll probably link it below, providing I don't forget. And if I do forget, derp, I'm sorry. And there's another kind of aloe, which is in this cute little decorative pot, and that's a pup that I took from, well, that's a pup from the other mother aloe plant of this one, which I'll show you in a little bit. And my maiden hair vine, which is really putting on a lot of new growth and starting to look spectacular. And I can't wait to see when it gets really, really bushy. I just love how this looks. So I envision this pot to get really bushy and full and start trailing down this cupboard a little bit. But I'm happy with how it's looking at the moment and how it's progressing. And considering it was a very small cutting with quite sparse leaves, you can see all these lighter green leaves, how much it's really starting to wake up and grow. So yeah, there's my maidenhair vine. And here is my Ripsalis cuttings, which are starting to send off shoots, but I'll do another video for this guy on its own. And my Adromiscus, which I grew from a leaf, and he's kind of like been like this for months now and not really doing much, but he's alive, he's not dead, so yeah, I guess wait and see with this guy. So here's the ficus, and he lives in between the cupboards where my orchids are, and in the bottom here you can see some green things dotted about. So I've just put some extra sedums here because I think they look pretty. And here is my pink Vitonia cutting that I put in here because I kind of envision this filling out and being a pretty cover for the bottom of the pot, because yeah, it looks a little bit bare. So I think having some colour down there would look really pretty, and some dead leaves which I should really get rid of. And this is the other black and pink what's it, Vitonia, and it's starting to show signs of life. If you can see that little green thing there, that's a new shoot. So hopefully he does well in this planter, because I thought, well, yeah, as long as I'm sparing with the water here, those little cuttings should be fine. It's kind of like their natural environment under a tree canopy, so it's humid, it's under a canopy, it's not direct sunlight, but it's bright sunlight or filtered sunlight, so theoretically this should grow okay here. And somewhere along here, you can see this thing poking out here. That's my white Vitonia cutting that I pulled out of that pot from the living room. It didn't have any leaves on, but it was a couple of stalks and some roots, and I just kind of popped it in there. And I thought it would be cool to have 3 different colours of Vitonia and some sedums. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe I take something out, maybe I let it all grow together, who knows. Let's see where that one goes. This one that I need to make, it's another video on its own, and these are my Pilea peperomioides. And as you can see from the last update I did on this guy, where he was still quite small, he has grown quite a bit. So still not given any pups, but there he is, still alive and looking fab. But yeah, I'll do an update video on that one and go into a bit more depth at some point. And here is my little rooted Ionium cutting. So I think he's about to go into dormancy now, so I don't think he's going to be doing much for the spring and summer, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe he grows a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be doing much until next autumn, winter time. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's their active growth period, or I could be wrong. Someone please let me know, because yeah, I'm not sure. And my 2 jade plants in seashells, and yeah, they're doing quite a bit of growing and looking good. So there we go. More orchids. My Pilea in a gravy jug. My another new addition, which is my ficus ginseng, I think. So I'll have to do another video on him once I get the hang of him, and give some care instructions and just show him off a little bit. But there he is, first glance at him, and he's gorgeous. I love him. He's in a cute little pot there. And this is the mother plant from the other jade plant, and you can see there's a new pup growing there. Again, I'm not too sure what kind of jade this is, so if there's any knowledgeable peeps out there, ID pretty please. Much appreciated. Thank you. So yeah, swinging over to the kitchen table. So here we have my awesome, amazing, beautiful, gorgeous, can you tell this one is one of my favorites? My Hindu rope, or Hoya carnosa compacta, and he seems to be doing well. I've freshened up his dirt since I bought him because I didn't really want to keep him in that sopping wet medium from the garden centre, so he's in there with some of my ceramics and clay pebbles. And he gets watered when he's really dry, and he's in my really cool, funky person pot with a hoe. But since I've repotted him, he hasn't really complained and moaned, and I've noticed there, you can see that really curly thing at the end. He's even starting to make new leaves. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to show you, but you're just going to have to take my word on that. But he's growing, he's not dying. And he seems very happy on the table with the big ass east facing window and a big ass skylight. So yeah, he seems happy here. And this is my other ponytail palm. This is where it's grown. So it's in a slightly different location to the big one. So the big one is there right by the window. The medium one is here on the table. And the small one is up there with that single window there, so you can see the positioning. They're similar places, but slightly different positionings. And here are these are Echeveria leaves here. That's a Graptivaria opalina. That's an Adramyscus. That's another Graptivaria opalina. And those two there are also some sort of Echeverias. So this is just a propagation pot, and I thought it would be fun to just throw in some leaves and watch them grow together and see what happens. And this is my other Pilea plant. It doesn't look as bushy, but it's still equally as big and equally as healthy. And he seems to be doing well. But again, I'll do their own video, so I can talk a bit more in depth about those. And this is another propagation tray with some more Echeverias there. That's the Graptivaria opalina. That's another Echeveria, Graptivaria, and a Mammillaria, because why not? And here is my giant aloe, which looks amazing. I love this one. This one has got to be my favourite out of the medicinal aloes. I just love how it looks. I mean, the other one over there, it's pretty, but yeah, there's just something about this one. What can I say? I'm a sucker for it. So that's it for the house plants, but I do have a little something outside on my patio. So seeing as this is a plant door, why not? So out here, I have some plant pots in this little corner of my patio because my garden is an absolute bloody disaster. You don't want to know about the disaster that is my garden, but focus on this little corner here because this little corner here is pretty. So my rose bushes, since I've done my update, has really bushed out. I am so looking forward to this pot filling out a little bit more and having a full pot of roses again. But I think what I'm going to do when I see the mini roses in the supermarket again, I'm definitely going to get another pot, maybe a different colour so I have some colour variation in one pot, because I think that'd be funky. But yeah, I'm really happy. This was a very good buy for €3. So, mini roses, worth a buy. And here is a pot of the wildflower seeds that I started. So still growing, still seedlings, but they're doing well nonetheless. And this mystery flower plant, which I have no idea what it is, so if anyone knows, thanks in advance, you're awesome. And over here I have my 3 snowdrop plants, which are growing and doing well. And this is a new addition. This is my sedum from the Lidl. I'm telling you, that shop is dangerous. And yeah, so I just planted them up with some other different varieties. That was also thrown in the pot. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be like that, but they came like that, so why not? I'm going to roll with it. So I've replanted them in this pot, which is, if you follow my videos, you might remember it if you like photographic memory. But this is a pot that Hannah gave me again. Thanks, Hannah. For the pot that her violas came in, and this is what I done with it. There we go. And that's some violas and a purple plant of some description, which I can't remember the name because I threw out the label like the derpy cow I am. So I'll show you that when he grows and starts to flower, but he's a gorgeous one. More wildflowers, violas, violas, more wildflowers, wildflowers. Forget what that is, but it's pretty. More wildflowers, violas, and more flowers I forget the name of because I threw out the label. So that's this little corner here, and all the way over here are my Sempervivums, and they're looking awesome. And I've also, again, you can see I've put some sedum scattered about here and there, so I'll show you what that looks like when they start to really grow out a bit. Now you can see this one has had a bit of damage, and this one here. And I'll insert some pictures as to how that happened, because we had some heavy wind, and this ended up on top of them, which is my outside container for keeping my rubbish bags in, because the neighbours had their massive gazebo out, blew over our fence, knocked this went into that, and then that happened. So I was quite upset about that, but he's growing, so he's not dead, and hopefully he bounces back and doesn't look so ugly, because that was kind of like the focal point one. But yeah, my Sempervivums are looking amazing. So that concludes everything for real, guys. That's everything I've got, and I hope you enjoyed. So thanks for watching, peeps. As always, it's much appreciated. Much love, and I will see you in the next video.